Can Barack Obama go any lower than this? 2 weeks ago, we saw the most off-putting display of hubris from him when he tried to use a genuine medical emergency at a Trump rally as a cheap talking point about music at town hall meetings. But that's just scratching the surface, so take a look at what he said before I tell you more about it.
I do have to point out that along with his intentions, there is also a question of his competence. Have you seen him lately? I mean, he is out there, he's given 2.5 hour speeches, just word salads. You have no idea what he's talking about. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter. He's talking about this. He's talking about that. He held a town hall meeting where he just, let me explain, because I've done a lot of town hall meetings. The point of a town hall meeting is to take questions. He just decided, you know what, I'm going to stop taking questions. And then he's swaying to Ave Maria and YMCA for about half an hour. Folks are standing there not sure what's happening. Can you imagine if I did that? Can you imagine if Ruben did that right in the middle? Now, our playlist would probably be better. But
where do I even begin? There's more irony here than I can unpack. Donald Trump's word salads and not answering questions from the audience in town hall meetings.
Are you serious?
Before I even get to that part, I need to show something even worse he did, if you know what actually happened at that Trump rally a couple weeks ago. What Obama calls a way to not answer questions by playing music was actually a pretty tense few minutes at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, when around 2 of the attendees nearly fainted from the heat and crowd. Medical responders were called on immediately, who transported those attendees to medical care in a stretcher. And while all of this was happening, Donald Trump stopped the rally to not distract those first responders, letting light music play in the background. Instead, here's how it happened.
We win Pennsylvania. We win this great Commonwealth. We are going to win the whole ballgame. It's such an important place. And we relate. And we are up in the polls fairly nicely. You take your time, doctor. Take your time. Thank you very much. We always have great doctors in the audience. We've never had too much of a problem. The number one issue this country has...
And I know it's really warm in here. Everybody agrees that it's really warm in here. We've got a lot of people who love America.
And those 2 people that went down are patriots, and we love them.
Yes.
And because of them, we ended up with some good music, right? Right? So play YMCA. Go ahead. Let's go. Nice and loud.
Here we go, everybody.
See? Did Barack Obama genuinely mistake this as an attempt at evading questions, or did he really use this incident to score a petty political point? I'll let you be the judge, but I want to pick on something else that he said at the Democrat rally that makes zero sense. To begin with, it seems like the Democratic Party is so starved of charisma at this point that they've had to bring in Barack Obama out of retirement to campaign on their behalf. And you've got people like Eminem and Leonardo DiCaprio also chiming in, but none of these fancy stars of pop culture can ever make up for the lack of substance we're seeing from the current Democratic ticket, especially with a presidential candidate like Kamala Harris, because if there's anyone that's avoiding answering straight questions at town halls, it's Kamala. In fact, we did a video last week about this when moderator Maria Shriver made a big, significant mistake letting the secret out during the introduction that all questions put to Kamala during the town hall were pre-written and pre-approved. Take a look.
So I know all of you are looking forward to hearing from both of these extraordinary women. They're both incredible. And so I want to begin by getting going. We have some questions from the audience that we will get to. I have a few questions. As I said, I went around to meet several of you, and I heard some questions that some of you had. But universally, many of you said the reason I'm here is to see bipartisanship. I want to see what it looks like so I can go home with information. So you're going to get that, okay? So let's get going. So sit back, be comfortable. You're not, unfortunately. We have some predetermined questions, and hopefully I'll be able to ask some of the questions that might be in your head. I hope so.
The cat has been let out of the bag many more times than this, and no matter how many times the Democrat campaign tries to dress up and prepare Kamala Harris for a crafted interview, the people have smartened up with the rise of online media, podcasts, and long-form conversations. that's where people are looking when they really want to understand their political candidate. It's because a long-form and open-ended conversation like the one Donald Trump had with Joe Rogan or Patrick Bet-David is simply impossible to fake, and by the way, that's just one aspect of the stark difference between the media strategy of these political candidates. You're also seeing how one political candidate is willing to sit down even with opposing media channels in an uncensored conversation while the other cannot. The only real example you can point to with Kamala Harris is her Fox News interview with Brett Breyer, and we all know how that 20-minute interview turned out for her, and you know what? Not even the reasonable figures on the left are impressed by the verbal evasiveness of Kamala Harris on vital issues, and these fears are only accelerated the less likely she looks to clinch victory in this election. For example, here's David Axelrod, prominent Democrat White House official and former advisor to the president, complaining about how Kamala Harris takes every question to word salad city.
When she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city, and she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
And can you really blame people for just zoning out after a while? It seems like the Democratic establishment, as well as the prominent left-wing media figures, are starting to realize that replacing Joe Biden with Kamala Harris at the last minute hasn't really helped their chances in the election enough to win. We've seen something similar even with people like Van Jones and Cenk Uygur, who have been forced to let out their frantic worries of a loss out on the Kamala Harris campaign, and that's one example of us seeing at least a segment of the Democratic Party and media establishment criticizing Kamala Harris, even for ultimately selfish reasons. Perhaps you can't really blame them either, because a President Kamala Harris is going to be very different for the United States on the world stage than her on the sidelines as the VP, and at the heart of that worry is her apparent inability to negotiate, convince, and assert herself in front of the media, let alone foreign dictators like Putin and Xi. For a snapshot of what that could look like, here's a clip of Kamala Harris from a few years ago speaking to the president of Jamaica. The absolute word salad in this clip will make your head spin.
We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only...
Can you expect someone like this to take America's case on the world stage and, more importantly, be able to resist and override the bureaucracy and establishment in her own party? You can't blame people for just not trusting her ability to do that, and that isn't even a politically partisan point. Even if Donald Trump didn't exist, Kamala Harris still doesn't inspire enough confidence among the Democrats to be able to put her to the top in her country. But let me know in the comments what you think about this, and tell me how Barack Obama's words fit into all of this. And don't forget to share this video with people that need to see it, because it's issues like these that could decide which way many centrist and independent voters eventually swing.